If you get full from McDonald's, you won't be able to enjoy even the most sophisticated dish. The same thing is happening in your life when you are doing the fake substitutes of the things that actually make life worth living. That's why work feels boring, exercising feels boring, reading feels absolutely unbearable, etc. But don't worry, because there is a solution to all that, and it's called dopamine detox. I'll explain how it works scientifically, but I promise I'll make it easy to understand. First of all, anything that you see as enjoyable feels enjoyable because your body releases certain hormones. Hormones are basically substances that control how your brain works. The particular hormone, the particular substance we need to know about is dopamine. Dopamine is the hormone of motivation and happiness, the thing that people call drive. It is released to make you want to do things, literally anything. There was an experiment where scientists tuned off dopamine for mice, like literally messed with their brains and made it to not produce dopamine. And you know what happened to these mice? They did not move at all, because in order to move, you need some motivation. And if you have zero motivation, you can't move. So that's literally the function of dopamine. Now, as a general rule, the higher your dopamine baseline is, the better you feel in your day-to-day life. The lower your dopamine baseline is, the worse you feel. In fact, depression happens because for whatever reason your body either stops producing dopamine or something suppresses it. That's how important dopamine is. And you may be thinking right now, it means dopamine is good, right? Right? Yes and no. Dopamine can be used to achieve insane productivity, but it is also the exact reason why you are unproductive right now. You see, when you're doing all of those good things in life, like traveling, achieving something cool, working on something meaningful, eating good food, reading, exercising, learning something new, all of that feels good, and all of those things temporarily make your dopamine go up. And that's actually healthy and natural. That's a good thing. And when you're doing the fake substitutes of the good things in life, like video games, porn, junk food, social media, gambling, your dopamine levels aren't going down. They're spiking even more. That's why it's dangerous. Because all those things I listed are basically made to hijack your dopamine system. They made in order to make your body release dopamine. That's why they often feel more addictive and easier to do than the good things. But the trick here is, when you regularly raise your dopamine by doing those activities that give you a lot of dopamine, your body starts to lower the baseline and you start to feel worse in your day-to-day life without doing those things. And then, in order to feel good again, you come back to those things to get more dopamine. And that's exactly how people are getting addicted to those things. I hope you do understand my analogy about food now from the beginning of the video. If you get full with the fake things, you will stop wanting the real ones. At this point, you might come to a conclusion that the solution is doing the real good things in life. But the thing here is that you probably won't even like doing them at this point, because they are not stimulating enough. They don't give enough dopamine. Like, for instance, exercising gives way less dopamine than video games. That's why it's hard to do. And reading gives very little dopamine compared to pretty much anything else. That's why it feels so hard. So what you need to do first is to raise your dopamine baseline. Not to spike it temporarily, but actually raise the baseline, what your body produces naturally. And the way you do that is by experiencing hardships, unpleasant things, and the things that you need to overcome. And also by avoiding doing the things that are stimulating, like playing video games, watching porn, eating junk food, and etc. The few examples of the uncomfortable things that you can do are exercising, cold showers, meditation, feeling bored, or anything else that makes you uncomfortable. And again, at the same time, you need to stop doing the addictive things that temporarily raise your dopamine. Now, there is one more very important thing to all of this. But first, let's talk about the ways how you can raise your baseline dopamine. As I just said, any uncomfortable thing and any reduction in comfort will work. The reason why it will work is because dopamine is a hormone of what? Of motivation, exactly. It will motivate you to get your comfort back. For instance, you start sleeping on hard surfaces. Your body starts feeling uncomfortable. And your brain, in order to motivate you to get your comfort back, starts releasing dopamine so that you get up, work harder, and buy yourself a comfy bed. That's the function, that's the natural function of dopamine. Now to the important thing. The discomfort you feel should not be forced on you by yourself. Because imagine you want to do dopamine detox and you start sleeping on your floor right next to your actual bed. In that case, your brain has no reasons at all to give you more dopamine to achieve more comfort. Because you already have a bed, you're just choosing not to use it. Like, of course it is still good, you will still have positive effects from sleeping on your floor, but it will not give you the main effect that you want. It will not raise your dopamine baseline. What you need to do instead is to create conditions under which it's impossible to be comfortable. For instance, make it impossible to sleep on your bed. Like, for example, if you will just stop playing video games, just decide that I will not play them anymore, your brain will want you to come back to them because it will know that there is a way to get a lot of dopamine. And dopamine is what? Dopamine is a hormone of motivation. So each time you play video games, you reinforce the habit of playing them. And that's why it is not enough to just decide not to play, because your brain will still keep it as an option to receive a lot of dopamine. So what you need to do instead is to either make it impossible to play or make it so hard that your own laziness prevents you from doing this. And the same goes for every single bad habit. I myself did that by deleting all video games from my computer and then deleting Steam. So now, in order to play even for 5 minutes, I need to download Steam, enter my account, download the game, and only then I'll be able to play. I'm just too lazy for that stuff, so that's why I don't play anymore. And the best thing is that I don't even want to play, because I know that before playing, I'll need to do all this boring stuff. I call this technique the barrier of laziness. You're welcome to use it. Now, when it comes to something like cold showers, obviously it is very hard, if not impossible, to just disconnect your hot water in your house. That's why, in order to still have the benefits from it, you need to think as little as possible before turning on the cold water. So like you get in your shower and you immediately turn on the cold water. Because the longer you hesitate before doing that, the lower will be the effect. That's why you need to enter the shower and immediately turn on the cold water. Don't even think about that. That way you'll get the maximum effect. And even if immediately after that you'll turn on the hot water, it doesn't matter, because the main part of the cold shower is the initial shock from the cold water, and you'll get all the benefits you need from that. Well, that's pretty much the whole thing. Now the only thing that you'll need to think of yourself is how to make your bad habits inaccessible and how to physically limit your comfort. Unfortunately, I can't really recommend you anything on that, because that will be different for every single person. So your homework is to come up with those things yourself. I see you in the next one. And remember, discipline is freedom. Mwah.